Welcome back, viewers. Our focus remains on tracking the big stories of this hour. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and the US President Donald Trump had a verbal clash at the Oval House in the meeting on February 28th. The interaction sparked widespread reactions from across the globe, with various European leaders backing Zelenskyy as the Russia-Ukraine conflict continues to grow. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has stated that Ukraine can rely on Germany and on Europe as well. Meanwhile, France's President Emmanuel Macron has backed Zelenskyy by saying that those who sanctioned Russia and helped Ukraine were right to do so, as Russia was the aggressor while the Ukrainians were the aggressed people. Support for Zelenskyy poured in from his European neighbors, including UK, Spain, Italy, and more. Meanwhile, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev backed Trump in a major attack on Zelenskyy's brutal dressing down in the Oval Office. Medvedev further stated that the Trump was right, as the Kyiv regime was gambling with World War III. The clash continues to elicit response from across the globe, with Zelenskyy receiving major support during his UK visit, post leaving the United States in not so subtle and a cordial manner. Aditya Vadhavan, my colleague, is joining me live on the broadcast. Aditya, in fact, just after the verbal clash that was reported in front of the world cameras between the United States President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, what in fact spiraled out was not a cordial relationship that was being seen, and also as a good message for the easing out of the Russia-Ukraine ties. But at the same time, in fact, a lot of effort has been witnessed pouring in from the other parts of Europe, with even Germany and France coming in to give aid to Zelenskyy.
Well, Simran, if you see, during the meeting, heated arguments had broken out between the US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, wherein he had said, Trump had specifically spoken that it is the attitude problem, that is, not letting Volodymyr Zelenskyy, end this war, end this Russia-Ukraine war. They have already, during the meeting, Trump was seen speaking that Ukrainian soldiers are very brave, but we have given we have given you extensive military equipment, but still you weren't been able to stop this war. And then Volodymyr Zelenskyy also said that since when when Russia invaded Crimea, then the United States of America had why did United States of America keep quiet when Russia was invading Crimea? And these were some of the disagreements, that started this ugly spat of war of words between the two leaders, And we could also see that Vice President J.D. Vance intervening in between and trying to calm the situation when this heated agreement was going on between the two leaders. And Trump openly criticized the Biden administration of giving these freebies to Ukrainian president, and then even there are some reports that when this customary dinner was when Volodymyr Zelenskyy was invited for a customary dinner at Oval, he refused to have dinner with the United States President Donald Trump. So meanwhile, on the other hand, UK PM Keir Starmer has clearly said to Volodymyr Zelenskyy that the Ukraine has UK's full support, and whatever required, UK will be on Ukrainian side. So as per reports, NATO has 32 countries. Because of the several disagreements on which the entire European Union and the United States are at odds. Even if the United States exits the NATO, there will still be 31 countries, which are in the 31 European countries which are the member of NATO, which are in support of Ukraine. And as per the Article 13 of NATO, any country can withdraw itself. Any country can end their membership of NATO. So the situation at the moment is very confusing because both United States and Europe are, have disagreements when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war, and it needs to be seen from here on how this entire scenario unfolds. Yes, Simran.
Well, absolutely. In fact, Aditya, as rightly you are putting it out for our viewers. Right now, joining me live on the broadcast is also Mrs. Sanjeev Srivastav, who is the global affairs expert joining me live. Sir, as the European allies like Canada, Germany and others rally behind Zelensky after the Trump clash, it is also very categorically seen that the phone call that followed between the United States President Donald Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin has in fact landed at that time, where the Democrats are now accusing the Trump administration of doing the dirty work of the Putin. How do you view this allegation, particularly in context, and how exactly is in fact the allies of European allies rallying behind Zelensky at this given point of time when he has been insulted inside the White House looks like?
Well, Simran, first of all, I would say that this idea that this war must end is a great idea. And this great idea of Donald Trump was a big change of the approach of the United States of America. Till Biden administration, United States of America was not willing to talk to Russia, and they are not agreeing to come to the negotiating table. But after the arrival of President Trump on the scene, this process of dialogue and negotiations have begun, and which is a great beginning, I must say. And this war has caused enormous difficulties for the people of Ukraine, soldiers of Russia and people of Russia, and also not only for these two countries, but the international community has also been severely impacted. Europe, which was heavily relying on Russian energy supplies, they were impacted. The various low and middle income countries of Africa and Asia, they were severely impacted because of the disruptions in the food supply chains, energy oil supply chains, as well as fertilizer supply chains. So I think the whole world will take a sigh of relief if this war comes to a close. But only question is that how this will be achieved. And for that, the process of negotiations which have gone on thus far, and the kind of spat we have seen with between President Trump and President Zelensky is clearly an indication of the fact that this entire negotiation process is not going to be easy at all, and it is a complex. It is going to be a complex negotiation, and such kind of a tense moments are quite expected in this entire process. But I would say that when President Donald Trump is pushing forward to this idea, he should also make sure that there must not be a loss of face for Ukraine in this entire process. There must not be a loss of face for NATO in the entire negotiation process. And a formula should be, searched for which ensures a win-win situation for each party. And a win-win situation only will ensure a lasting peace, and a lasting peace deal or any kind of a ceasefire deal if it agrees to. And for that to do, I think a lot of negotiations will have to be done, and for that the other party will have to be given a due respect. I think this kind of a spat-like situation what emerged at the Oval Office is not a welcome sign, and certainly this must not be repeated. I think the world leaders must ensure. So I think a win-win situation, win-win formula is a need of the hour. And as I said and repeat it again, that if this deal is done in such a way that Ukraine has a sense of a loss or losing in this war, then I think this deal will not be sustainable. There must not be, again, I would say, there must not be a loss of face for President Zelensky and the entire Ukraine, because they have fought a very long war, 3 years war, and that war was obviously fought with the support of United States of America and NATO. And at the last of it, Simran, I would say that the real nature of this Russia-Ukraine war is that this war was being fought indirectly between major powers only. On one side, you had United States of America and NATO, and the other side, you had Russia, and Ukrainian territory was being used as a battleground. And obviously, this is the real nature of war. It was this war which is going on between Russia and the Ukraine is essentially a kind of a contestation for enhancing their dominance in the European theater. Various powers are competing to dominance and establish their influence in the European theater. So I think this is the real nature of war. Since conflicting parties, the major powers, which they were fighting this war indirectly, they were not willing to come to the negotiating table. This was not coming to a close. But now both the sides, United States of America and Russia, they are willing to talk. That's why this war will not continue, in my assessment, and this has to come to a close. And this kind of a closure of this war, the ending of this war, should be done in such a way that there is no loss of face for any party, whether it is for Ukraine or for NATO. Till now, European countries, they are giving their full support to Ukraine, because they are not only concerned about President Zelenskyy, but also they are concerned about their own security. What will happen to the security guarantees which the Zelenskyy and Europe is asking for? Whether Russia will give such kind of a security guarantees? And so these kind of a very big questions will have to be negotiated. And President Trump, when he says that he is the master of the deal, and he has done deals over deals throughout his life, so he should come with such a deal in times ahead, which I'm sure that negotiations will continue. This spat has happened, but it does not mean that everything is over. This process has begun, and it will be a complex process. Negotiations journey will be a very hard journey. But I'm sure that a compromise formula, a formula which ensures a win-win situation for every party, will emerge. And for that, I think the efforts must go on. And again, at the end of it, I would say President Trump's idea of bringing this war to a close is a great idea, and that must be pursued with the approach that every
All right,
party
Mr. Srivastav, thank you very much for adding these details and staying with us live on the broadcast. Now it's time to shift our focus to other developments.